everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you for allowing me to spend time in my space with you in your space. I really appreciate you allowing me to bake your day my way. Alright, so on a previous video, I showed you how to prepare homemade self-rising or self-raising flour. And as you know, I use self-raising flour, and the only difference is that self-rising has salt added to it, whereas self-raising does not. It's just the baking powder and your all-purpose flour. Right? So with that, I'm going to use this flour, and I'm going to prepare a dish today. I'm going to prepare some, let's see, what should I call these? I'll call them Charleston Chewies. Okay, I'm going to prepare some Charleston Chewies, and very simple recipe. Right? So as you know, I did measure out 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So I'm going to transfer this all-purpose flour to my mixing bowl, and it was sifted, as you remember when I showed you how to actually prepare it. It was sifted and also whisked. Right? So now I can attach my mixing bowl. Now, before I get started with the blend here, I'm going to first, and this butter has been allowed to come to room temperature, but in this recipe you have to have melted butter, and you need 1 cup of melted butter, and of course that's going to be 2 sticks because 1 stick is a half a cup. So I'm going to put the room temperature butter in my little bowl, and it won't take long because, as I said, it's been out and it's at room temperature, so it won't take it long to actually melt. Now, you don't want it to be a raging melt where it like boils. You just want it to melt on like a low or low to medium heat. Since this is already room temperature, I'm going to do low. But if you were taking it right out of the refrigerator, I would say put it on about maybe 4 or 5. 5 is considered to be medium on most stoves, and that should be enough time. As you can see, mine is already melted. Okay. So while the butter is melting, I'm going to go ahead and start on the mix here. So what you're going to need is 2 cups of self-rising flour, if that's what you bake with. Or if you use all-purpose flour, you'll need 2 cups. And to each cup, you're going to have to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder for self-raising, and if you would like self-rising, you would have to add another 1/8 teaspoon of salt for each cup that you measure out. And this is how you accurately prepare homemade self-rising flour at home. The next thing you would like to do is measure out another dry ingredient, which is going to be your brown sugar. Now, you can use the light brown sugar, you can use the dark brown sugar. That's a personal preference, but it does have to be packed. So you're going to need 2 cups of the brown sugar. So you measure it in your measuring cup, and it has to be packed. And when they say packed, that just simply means that when you put it in your measuring cup, you press it down, because you want to make sure that you have an actual cup of your brown sugar. So you pack it down, and then you fill it to the top again. That's what they mean when they say packed. Okay? And as you can see, that's 1 cup. I'm going to transfer that to the mixing bowl. Then I'll measure out another cup, because you know brown sugar is maple syrup is what's in it, and it's kind of, it looks moist and it feels very light. So you want to make sure that you're getting accurate measurement when you measure it out. It's pure cane sugar, of course, which is also brown because it hasn't been through the char process. And there's a chewy brown sugar cookie recipe that's on the bag, and it's pretty good as well. I always say maple syrup, but it's actually molasses that they put in it. Like the black strap molasses. Alright. It smells like maple. Alright, so now that you have your sugar and your flour, I'm going to place this blender on stir after I plug it in. Place it on stir. I'm just going to stir the flour and the brown sugar together just so that they can become well incorporated. My butter is well on its way to being melted. As I said, it was at room temperature. It's just a little left in there. And I put it at about 3.5. If you're doing this by hand, you can use a whisk, or you can use your spatula and just fold in your sugar and your flour. You can just take the spatula or take a whisk and just fold it in. You just want it to all become one. They're just dry ingredients. So you're just blending them in, making a uniform mixture. Right? I just do it with the spatula so you don't have to hear the blender. Right? So once the butter has melted, which it has, I can turn the eye off. So now I'm going to add the butter. I'm gonna place you on a brief pause right quick. Okay, I'm back. That's my mom calling. I have to stop and text her back, or she'll think something's wrong if I don't answer. Okay, so that's the oven telling me it's ready. So now that the butter is melted, I'm going to add the butter to the brown sugar and the flour. Okay. Now I use unsalted butter, as you know. If you would like to use salted butter, that's fine, but just be very careful, because you know when you use your self-rising flour, if you do it homemade, you're going to be adding salt, and if you purchase it, you're definitely going to be adding salt. And as I said in that video, you really don't know the ratio of the ingredients to the flour that you're measuring out. It's pre-prepped for you. All right, so just be mindful of that. So if you use the salt if you're using self-rising flour, you may want to use the unsalted butter, because you don't want it to be too salty. All right, so now I'm going to turn on the blender and just stir this, because I want to introduce this dry ingredient to the melted butter, and I want it to become a uniform mixture. So I'm just going to stir it for right now. Nothing too hard or too difficult. This is what it looks like. All right. And you want to do it this way because you're going to add your eggs. And in doing so, you don't want the butter to be too hot to where it actually cooks your eggs. Okay, you just want to be lukewarm, melt it, introduce it to your flour. In some recipes, people will do the butter and the brown sugar together on the stove, and then they'll add the eggs to it. I do not recommend that, because if by chance you get it your butter too hot, or the butter with the sugar too hot, you're going to cook your eggs. Alright, so the best thing to do is just melt the butter and add it to the dry ingredients and let them, become introduced to each other and kind of blend it in. And the next thing you would like to do is you would like to add your vanilla extract. Now for the vanilla extract, you're going to need 2 teaspoons. If you would like to use butter extract, lemon extract, almond extract, whatever flavor you would like, you may do so. It's fine. Then I'm going to stir this And while it's stirring, I'm going to incorporate 2 eggs, and these eggs have been allowed to come to room temperature. And I will crack them and kind of inspect them as I put them in, since I didn't crack them previously to check them. And again, once the yolk breaks, then you can add the second egg. Yeah, these are good. And also, another thing that people have problems with when they're baking is that if their cake and stuff doesn't rise, or if it seems to fall apart, they don't check to see if their eggs are actually viable. So you can do the float test with your eggs, where you just place them in some water. You know, if they float, you know, they're good, and if they sink to the bottom, then they're not. So you may want to check your eggs as well, even though you buy them at the store, and especially if you are a homesteader, or if you live off grid and you have a lot of chickens and you have eggs, then you want to make sure that your eggs are viable. But most people who are homesteaders like myself or off grid, they know how to preserve their eggs for longevity purposes. All right. But just FYI, we do have a lot of new people who are moving off grid or deciding they want to be homesteaders, and you know, every little bit that you can relate to in a video to help someone, you never know who's watching, and that's something that they probably didn't think of, and it's very helpful. So now that I have everything in here, I'm going to just simply fold it like I always do, scrape the sides and the bottom of my mixing bowl just to make sure that everything gets well incorporated together before I add my next ingredient. I just want to make sure that everything is mixed. Never hurts to give it a nice scrape and a nice fold. This is a heavy mix, and so it will stick and cling to the bowl. It will settle on the bottom. You will get, at times, if you don't check it and scrape it down, you could have something that's flour or the brown sugar mixture, butter. You can have a clump at the bottom, or you can have it to where it settles and just sits there and doesn't really get mixed well in your blender. Because this is like I said, it's a thick, heavy batter. This is not your loose running cake batter. I think the chewy part kind of gave that away. All right, so now I'm going to turn it back on. I'm gonna give it a very nice blend here, nice mix, before I add my next ingredient. My next ingredient is going to be 1 cup of any nut of your choice. You can use pecans, you can use walnuts, which are my favorite, pistachio nuts, macadamia nuts, cashew nuts, you name it. Whatever nut that you would like to use, you may do so. I'm not a big pecan fan. I really love walnuts. But I put walnuts in everything, and so I've been told. So I'm going to do something different today for these. I'm going to stick with the original recipe, and I'm going to add 1 cup of chopped pecans to this. Now, if you would like to flour these and place them in the oven and lightly roast them, you may do so. If you want to candy your pecans and then add them, you can do so. If you would like to just peel them right out of the pecan hull and chop them up, you may do so. Or out of the bag, you know, however you prefer. That's all fine. There are more than one way that you can actually prep these. I'm just simply going to add the pecans, wherever you're from, however you say it, it's right, to the batter. And if you want to do them whole, like the halves, you can do that as well. And just take your spatula and fold them in. I chop these. So I have 1 cup of chopped. And I'm just gonna place my blender on stir, and I'm just gonna simply stir them just to get them folded in. Increase the speed from stir to 2. Just a very low speed. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, so now I'm ready for the bake. And this is one of those batters that you just want to eat right out of the bowl. It smells so good. So I've got everything released. And it's also kind of sticky. So you have to be very careful with this one. But again, that's where the chewy comes in. Right? I haven't made these in a while. The cream cheese chocolate chip walnut cake, and also this recipe. These are very quick and easy recipes. It's summer months. It's, you know, it's hot. Although this is August, it is still kind of warm here, and I say warm lightly because it's actually hot. We have a few cool days where the temperature is like maybe around 70, 75, 80. 85, but you know, for the most part, this month is still August, September, and usually going into the October, like maybe the first 2 weeks, it starts really cooling down. So with that being said, we try to prepare things that are, you know, no bakes or that does not require a lot of time when you turn your oven on. I try to wait till it's cool days. Like today was pretty good, and then I will prepare something. Usually it doesn't take longer than maybe 30 to 40, 45 minutes at the most to actually have my oven on. So not too bad. All right, so with this bake, this is going to be baked at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly about 30 to 35 minutes. I'm going to use a 9x13 baking pan, as I did with the cream cheese chocolate chip cake. You can line this pan with parchment if you would like. I'm going to spray it really good with my non-stick spray that I swear by because I never had anything to stick with this quick release. And then I'm going to remove the mixing bowl, and I'm going to transfer from the mixing bowl into the 9x13 baking dish. And this is what it looks like. And I just pour it back and forth in the dish. Seems to come out pretty evenly. Not too bad. But this is one where you really have to scrape the sides of your mixing bowl. But as I was saying, this is another one of those bakes that doesn't take long, maybe 15 minutes at the most to prep it, and then 30 to 35 minutes to bake. So just say on average an hour, and you'll have a nice dessert. And then it won't heat up too hot. By the time it heats up, your air is kicked on, and it'll keep it, you know, at a moderate temperature. Because by the time it recognizes it, it's time to turn the oven off. So it's pretty good. And like I said, I usually do these on the days where it's a little cooler, where we don't have the heat index of 100, 102, 105, you know, 95, you know, where it's so hot you can't breathe. I usually try to do these on days when when it's cool. Early in the morning or late in the evening, preferably. All right. So I think I've scraped it pretty good. I've gotten all of my pecans, because that's mostly what clings to the side. All right. Alrighty. And as usual, I'm going to just simply shake the 9x13 mixing bowl, because when I transferred it in, I poured it from top to bottom, and it seemed to have mixed very well and evened out in my baking dish. Okay. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, of course, is place this in the oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for about 30 to 35 minutes. As you know, oven temperatures vary. So I suggest that after 30 minutes, you check yours to see if it's done. And then you'll bake in 5-minute increments, checking it until perfection occurs. The bake is ready. Alrighty, so we have it in the oven. And I need to check my time so I can make sure. Alright, so I'm going to place you on a brief pause while this is baking. And of course, you know, I'm going to do housekeeping. I'm going to clean up everything I messed up, because that's the joy in baking, right? Make sure everything is clean. And as soon as it's time to remove it from the oven, I will pick you back up and we'll check this epic bake and see how well it turns out. So hold tight. Hello everyone. It is time to remove our Charleston Chewies from the oven. This is our bake. You want to make sure that the edges are like golden brown, and the center part is still going to be a little soft because these are chewies. And when they cool, they will be a little more consistent. But when you first pull it out, it seems like it's not done, but it really is. So it took 30 minutes. I left it in for an additional 5 just to get that golden crisp on the side that I like. So 30 to 35 minutes on the bake at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, check your temperatures. All right, so I'm going to allow it to cool. I'll bring it a little closer so you can actually see how golden brown it is. How beautiful. Epic. Okay. So I'll let it cool for about 10 minutes, and once it cools, I'm going to take some confectioned sugar, which is just your white powdered sugar, and I'm going to dust the top of it with the confectioned sugar, and then it'll be ready to serve. Okay. Now, as I said earlier with this, there are a lot of different variations, a lot of different things you can do. I like just to melt my butter, but you can take the butter, put it in a skillet, and kind of brown it. It melts, and then it gets like the little light brown, dark brown specks in it, and that'll give you kind of a richer flavor of the butter when you incorporate it into the Charleston Chews. It's just a preference. I like to just melt my butter and do it that way. It works out fine for me. But you can add a hint of just a little bit more texture to it, a little bit more flavor if you take your butter, put it in the skillet, and let it melt. You don't want to burn it. You want to keep it on a low heat just till it first starts turning brown and it seems like you have some light and dark specks in it, and then you take it off and incorporate it into your flour and your brown sugar. And you can also use, as I said earlier, the dark brown sugar. That's fine. I don't think it will hurt if you wanted to add like maybe a teaspoon or a tablespoon of molasses to it. Once you add your butter, add it to your mixture. I'm sure that'll add a hint more flavor to it as well. It's just a personal preference. And then with the nuts, you can use any nut you want. You can use it right out of the hull. You can use it right out of the bag. You can take it, and you can take your nuts and kind of roll them lightly in flour. Place them in your oven. I usually do mine like at 400 for about 5 minutes just to roast them. And you can also take them and incorporate them in there as roasted nuts as well. So different variations, variety, modifications to the recipe, things you can do. Um, if you want to use less of your baking powder, you can. You can just use a half a teaspoon per cup. It's still going to rise. You'll still get your leavening process. But I was showing you how to make homemade self-rising flour. So I decided to take that flour and actually make um, these Charleston Chews from that, or Charleston Chewies, or Charleston Chewies, or however you would like to pronounce it, depending on where you're from. And so we'll let these cool for about 10 minutes. I'll dust them with some powdered sugar, and then we'll be ready to do the taste test to see how this epic bake tastes. So I'm going to place you on a brief pause, and I'll be right back with you when it's time to dust with our powdered sugar, slice and dice, and taste. Okay, everyone, I have lightly dusted the Charleston Chews with confectionate sugar or white powdered sugar, and now I'm going to taste it. And they are ooey gooey. I'll show you. Ooey gooey. They're called Chewies. Okay. They're very good. They're very ooey gooey chewy, just as the recipe says. And the powdered sugar adds just the right garnishment. Very, very nice flavor. Yep. We're having a welcome back party for our students on Tuesday. And I have a request for a purple velvet cake. I have another request for some no-bake chocolate cookies. I have another request for some snickerdoodles. I think I might make some of these Charleston Chews as well. I may. I gotta fulfill the other requests first. These are really good. Very, very good. Very simple. Easy to make, easy to bake. 30-35 minutes and they're done. So this will be another quick and easy summer bake, just to have something sweet around the house, especially since the kiddos are going back to school now. When they get off the bus, this will be something that's easy to make, and you can just have waiting for them when they come in. So thank you guys for joining me on this bake. I really appreciate you. All of my subscribers, I always tell you, I'm so grateful for you. I'm thankful. For all of those who leave comments, thank you for your comment. I do try and respond as quickly as possible. I really appreciate all the positive comments, positive feedback. The only thing I ask is for those who try the recipes, even if you modify it, please leave a picture of it in the comment section, and also leave a comment on how it turned out for you, or any suggestions you may have that you would like to try to improve it, to meet your taste buds or your satisfaction. If you just passed through or stopped, you were strolling and something caught your attention, thanks for stopping by, and I hope you'll subscribe as well. So please remember to like, subscribe, leave a very positive comment, share any pictures or comments that you have on any of my bakes. Share them with us. If you even want to send me a picture, I'll post it on the community page for the YouTube channel. So thanks again for stopping by. Don't forget, when you come in to view the videos, to click the thumbs up. That's the like button, and what that does is pushes all the videos out into the YouTube world, YouTube algorithm, so that others can see what you see, and it just says that it's a positive video and it's something worth watching. And also click the notification bell and click all, because that gives you a heads up on all the videos that I upload. As soon as they're uploaded, you'll be notified, and you can go out and take a view of them. All right, so thanks again. I really appreciate you guys. I hope that your weekend ends on a positive note and your new week starts on an even positive, more positive note. Go out and enlighten, inspire, motivate, encourage someone. Just stay prayed up. Pray for all of those who are experiencing any turmoil or trials or tribulations from the hurricane that just passed through both Florida and North Carolina. I think was the other place that it kind of lingered over. So let's keep all the positivity and all the positive vibes going, because as I always say, we never know who might be struggling with something, whether it's mental, physical, emotional, and your positive words might be the only affirmation they hear that kind of helps them make it through. All right. So thanks again for joining me. I appreciate you for allowing me in your space to make your day or bake your day or prep your day or no bake your day my way. Have a great one, and I will see you on the next bake, prep, or possibly a no bake. Stay blessed.